Most people heading into retirement are sitting on a financial leak they don't even know about. It's not the stock market. It's not inflation. It's the things they own. And by the time they figure it out, it's already cost them years of financial security they can't get back. Today we're going through 5 things that are quietly draining retirement plans across America, and one of them, number 5, has nothing to do with money or possessions at all. That's the one that tends to change how people think about retirement entirely. We'll get there. But before we do, there's something worth keeping in mind as we go through this list. There's a single number, just one figure, that financial planners say can completely change the shape of a retirement plan. It's not a large number. In fact, most people would look at it and think it couldn't possibly matter that much. We'll come back to it at the end, because once it lands, it reframes everything on this list. Let's start with number 1, expensive toys. And by toys, this means the things that were a reward for all those years of working hard: the sports car, the motorcycle, the boat, the off-road vehicle, the pilot's license, and everything that comes with it. When you're still in your career, these make a certain kind of sense. Time is scarce, so having something that makes the most of your limited free time feels justified. And it is. But as retirement approaches, the calculation starts to shift. These items are expensive to own, not just to buy. Insurance, maintenance, storage, registration, it adds up quickly and consistently. A high-end vehicle alone can easily run an extra $1,000 a month when all the costs are factored in. And that's before a single repair. The question to ask isn't whether you enjoy it. Of course you do. The question is whether the cost of keeping it fits comfortably inside a retirement budget that now has to last potentially 20 or 30 years without a paycheck replenishing it every 2 weeks. That's a very different financial reality than the one most people spent their careers living in. Number 2, expensive depreciating assets, and the one that comes up most often in this category is the RV. The dream of hitting the open road in retirement, seeing the country at your own pace, waking up somewhere new every few days, that's a genuinely wonderful vision. And for many people, it absolutely lives up to it. But the RV itself is worth thinking about carefully before committing. A new one depreciates the moment it leaves the lot, just like a car. Maintenance and repairs can be significant and unpredictable. Warranties on RVs are notoriously complicated because these vehicles are essentially conversions, so when something goes wrong, it's not always clear who is responsible for fixing it. A smarter approach for many people is to rent first. Spend a week or 2 in an RV before deciding whether to buy. Yes, renting is expensive, often more per night than a comfortable hotel. But that cost buys something valuable: clarity. Knowing whether this lifestyle actually suits you before locking in a 6-figure purchase is worth every dollar. And if the verdict is yes, consider a quality used RV with low mileage and a solid pre-purchase inspection rather than a brand new one. The value proposition is often significantly better, and the risk of an early breakdown is lower. If there's already an RV sitting in the driveway and it's not being used the way it once was, sell it. A depreciating asset that's also costing money to store and insure every month is quietly working against the retirement plan. Number 3, a home that's larger than what's actually needed. This one is perhaps the most emotionally loaded item on the list. The family home carries decades of memories, and that matters. But once the children are grown and living their own lives, a large house shifts from being a gathering place to being an ongoing financial obligation. Property taxes, homeowners insurance, which has risen sharply in many parts of the country in recent years, heating, cooling, electricity, maintenance and repairs that seem to come faster and cost more as a house ages. Beyond the monthly costs, there's another consideration. A large home ties up significant wealth in an illiquid asset. That equity isn't available to spend or invest. It just sits there while the taxes and upkeep steadily draw money out. Downsizing to a smaller, more manageable home frees up capital, reduces expenses, and often makes day-to-day life considerably simpler, which has its own value. And when friends or family come to visit, there are creative ways to handle it. Nearby hotels, short-term rentals, splitting costs. Guests generally appreciate the thought, and the host gets to enjoy the visit without the year-round expense of maintaining rooms that sit empty the rest of the time. The same logic applies to second homes. Retirement does offer something that working life rarely did: the freedom to stay somewhere for 2, 3, or even 4 weeks at a stretch. That changes the math on second home ownership considerably. A well-chosen rental in a place you love can offer all the comfort of a second home without the carrying costs, the maintenance headaches, or the property taxes. It's worth running the numbers honestly before assuming a second home is the right answer in retirement. Before moving on to number 4, if this is resonating with you, take a second to hit the like button and subscribe. It helps this content reach more people who could use it, and there's a lot more coming on retirement planning, financial security, and making the most of this next chapter. It takes just a moment, and it makes a real difference. Number 4, the timeshare. Timeshares made a certain amount of sense during working years. For the same reason the other items on this list did, limited time meant that having a guaranteed easy vacation option had real value. But in retirement, that logic largely disappears. Time is no longer the scarce resource it once was. Flexibility becomes far more valuable. And as family dynamics shift, grandchildren get older and develop their own preferences. Adult children's schedules become less predictable. The appeal of returning to the same place every year tends to fade. Timeshares are notoriously difficult to sell, and selling them back to the resort rarely results in a good outcome financially. But if time and patience are on your side, selling privately is worth exploring. There are platforms designed specifically for this, and there are rules that govern the process. It takes effort, but getting out from under ongoing maintenance fees, which tend to increase year after year regardless of whether the property is used, can make a meaningful difference over a long retirement. Number 5, and this is the one that has nothing to do with possessions. Consider letting go of the deep-seated instinct to financially support adult children at the expense of your own retirement security. This is a hard one to say, and it comes with real nuance. There are situations where helping an adult child is absolutely the right thing to do, and no one is in a better position to make that judgment than the family involved. But there's an important asymmetry worth understanding. Adult children have access to financial tools that their parents do not: mortgages for homes, student loans for education, business financing for new ventures. These exist precisely because building a financial life takes time, and borrowing against future earnings is a legitimate way to do it. Retirement doesn't work that way. There is no loan for retirement. There is no financial instrument that replaces the years of compounding that were skipped, or the Social Security income that was delayed, or the portfolio withdrawals that happened earlier than planned. When retirement savings are depleted or delayed to help an adult child, that cost is permanent and cumulative in ways that are difficult to fully appreciate in the moment. The most loving thing, in many cases, is to arrive at retirement financially secure, because a parent who is financially stable is an asset to the whole family. A parent who is run short of resources becomes a source of stress and burden, even when that was never the intention. So here's how all of this connects. The number mentioned at the beginning, the figure that can reshape an entire retirement plan, is $500 a month. That's it. It doesn't sound like much against the backdrop of a 30-year retirement, but $500 a month, invested over time or preserved within a retirement portfolio, compounds into something substantial. Conversely, $500 a month in unnecessary expenses, the insurance on a vehicle rarely driven, the maintenance fees on a timeshare barely used, the carrying costs on a home that's too large, drains a retirement plan in ways that are slow and easy to miss until the damage is done. Every item on this list has the potential to represent that $500 or more. Together, they can represent far more. The goal isn't austerity. Retirement should be rich in experience, in time, in the freedom that all those working years were building toward. The goal is making sure the financial choices match the life being built, so that the money lasts as long as the plans do. Take a clear-eyed look at what things actually cost. Think about what genuinely adds to life in this chapter and what's simply carrying over from a previous one out of habit, sentiment, or inertia. The answers are different for everyone. There is no universal right answer to how big a house should be, or whether an RV belongs in the plan, or how much support to offer the next generation. But asking the question honestly, with a full picture of what things actually cost over a 20 or 30-year horizon, is always the right place to start. Retirement, done well, isn't about having less. It's about making sure everything that stays has genuinely earned its place. The things that enriched life during the working years deserve a second look in this new chapter, not out of regret, but out of intention. Because the people who retire with the most freedom aren't always the ones who earned the most. They're usually the ones who were the most deliberate about where their money went and what they chose to let go of when the season changed. That kind of clarity, more than almost anything else, is what makes the difference between a retirement that runs out and one that doesn't.